Hey people, a couple movies ago I was looking at this Indus Valley script and I was noticing they use this symbol for Ra a lot, and the camera is lovely, is beautiful, is camera worthy. And so this symbol for Ra was the same as this symbol they used for the House of Charlemagne, the freemen, or Israel. You see that same symbol in all the thrones in Egypt and on the American flag. You even see the same stripes in there. See the same symbol on the kings. And so that's this ray right here. And saw God that it was good. And what it means here, it's a governor, and it's where ray, and the double A reads a AI, and where release, where rail. And so the rail, it comes from here. This is a rail plow. The plow will dig so deep, and you set this rail to govern how deep you want to cut. This is the rail that's in Israel. When I first started doing this, I figured out this M was a S real quick. Just by the looks of it, I would mistake it sometime, and it sounded better. But I just read all this Genesis 1, and it reads, if you make this a S, it sounds like Old English, and you can read it as an M, and it just sounds like an old pirate. But this is, and saw God that it was good. What this says is, and who release it of. And we've been making a product, and we see that it's good, and it's time to release. And it comes from the governor. The governor is the one that operates the valve, how much electricity you get, how much water you get, where it's released. Raileis, and the CIT, release it of. And that's where who rail is the governor. The rail, RAIL, the rail. And the rail, the govern they, the govern him, the govern his, the rail his, sit of. He's sitting on the throne. The govern his sit of. And so the govern, it's the release. It's also this ancient sign for Sagittarius. So when this first day of creation starts, in Yammer, said, or who am, why am, who am, the role they see higher, who they ore. The ore is gold. You see it in these ancient gold markings where it would say, G Rail, Grail, the Holy Grail. And so who am role his, who his job is to make they, yea, let there be, to make they ore, to make they gold, who high, and backwards after this text, who hiero where, whose mark is where. That's the first day. And who they job is of the gold, make their hieroglyph there. Who, the why, I read it as who, and that's what it means, how or who, how release. Who release it the hour of sit of. Who release it the hour of sit of. And if you read it with the marks, it says, who release a true, a true, T-R-U-E, the A-E becomes the E-S, a true's hour, deceive with of, to collect with of, who vittle, and this is the things that fill the space. You'll see this word again with the extra I. And so when it has the extra I in here, it's the space, the levitt. But this is what fills in the space. Who fill all his been the hour of in each shack. So it's talking about the sun and the moon in this one line, and who release it the hour, the sit of who fill all his bin the hour of in each shack. But then when you read it with the markings, then it's talking about the moon dividing those hours up. Who release a true's hour, sieve with of. The true's the hour to sieve with of, who fill all his of in the hour of in each shack. It's talking about the truce of Ra and Horus. The rail is, and who the rail is, and who rules. And not necessarily that, but, just another way of telling the same story. It's who rails at the hour sit of, who commands at the hour sit of, or who rail is a truce Horus in with of, to take care of the nights. And the rest of that reads the same, who victual. And so it seems like the truce came after the putting the eye out, after the eclipse. Who victual all his been the hour of in each shack. And so Horus is eating Ra's victuals. Who's that sucking my titties? Who am roll they see higher? Who hiro where? And they hire who the letter puts where, the hiro puts where. Who released at the hour the sit of, who victual all his bin, who fills all his bin the hour of in each shack, the hour that's spent in each shack. And so the hour, there used to be 12 double hours, so the hour means 2 hours. The hour of each shack, there was 12 houses. And you can mix these words up and get better definitions of what these words mean. The light God would be the oral him. And, God's light would be all his ore, all his gold. And Saul, God's light would be who rail his ore, who rules his gold. This is where your word horoscope come from. You see, he's on the rail. He's got his statue up on the rail, and he's shaped in the letter L. He's on the rail. Where the rail is at, where the rail he sat, where the rail him at. The Horus, the horoscope, the Horus. To buy, to B-U-Y, to in who, to N-Y. To buy victual, all his of in the hour of in each shack. He's buying the victuals. This is the birth of Horus. This is birth of the light. And this is who buying victuals. And who rails at Horus, to buy victuals, all him been the hour of in each shack. He been eating every 2 hours. And so the rest of the time he seen it was good. This is the hour sit of, but the rest of the time that won't be in there. The first time it says, at the hour, at the light to set of, who victual to eat. And then the rest of the times it'll say, where the rail is set of, where the rail set of, where the rail set of, a rail set of, or the rail set of. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 depth settings. And it's talking about how deep you want to set the rail, how deep you want to cut, how deep do you want to go down the rabbit hole. And you see that here, and if the rail is lower, the light, yom is, they say, is a period of light. The light will his cover, like discover, will his cover. All isle who ye are in, who they in forge 'em ahead, who forges ahead. But if you're in the secret club, it's, and if if rails, and then backwards from yell, R-Phi, R-Phi, who's with me? That's Latin for who's with me. R-Phi, R-Phi, is yea, with me, yea, or nay. And if rails from yell, R-Phi, who's with me? Alorium, alorious. That's where your word glorious come from. To lift, the G is to lift, the glorious, the light of day. And so if rail is from yell, R-Phi, who's with me? A light of the day will discover, will divide the cover. All I'll who, yea, who's with me? In roar, in R-O-R-N, in roarin'. Who's with me? Yea, in roarin'. That's the lions. Why who they reckon forges ahead. And so that's why that was spelled different. Down here in 18, the light between the darkness, and saw God that it was good. It's the hour of in each shack who rails is. And this is where your word sky come from, whose rails from key, the S-K-Y, from give, who the orders from give. Key comes from the stars in with of, be in with of. Who they are in, and who they in forge and serve joy. The S, the serve joy. So I believe this author had signed his name down here. And it's down here in this word for the livestock. And his name is Be-Me. And this was the scribe that went out with the king's livestock. And who roll his touches arts in fish eye. Who roll his touches, touch in A-E becomes E-S, and touches arts in fish eye. And that means when you look at a flat wall, you're actually seeing the 360. In fish eye of mine. And so it means I'm a fish. And be me where Miss White works. Be me where Miss White works. Of mine who they can. And so Miss White, be me where Miss White is in them, in them Hermes, which it works of mine who they can. And why as all his added tears, all his buccaneers, all his tiers of servants, and all his added tears, at it hears of mine, what have me, of mine what colorum seed me, S-E-A-D, the seed me, of menu who rail is, of the menu who rule is, who rail is set of, where the rail is set, how deep you plowing. And who roll his nose, adds but seldom knew. Well, who roll his nose adds but seldom knew. He never knew what he's talking about. The one who rolls his nose could what knew a word to, according to our likeness, and let them rule. Could what knew the word to. In digit, in number his. Of hope the same is of be me. Is there a chance that God would number the stars in hopes the same is of be me? This is your writer, of be me. And I would do the same. Of call hears, of color from psalms. No, psalms is words. Of call hears what I hear, of colors from psalms of words. Alerts to see, wake you up to alerts. Who in rule is from yell are by what? Made heads, but seldom of excellum. The made heads, but seldom, not often in excellum. Because all his in rate, in brate. And this is where your word braid come from, B-R-A-I, the T is the D. And a whole bunch of words for creation come from there, R-A-I-T. But it's past tense, that's why I got that ED on there, to braid is past tense, braided. And all him braid was crunk, was U-Z-K-R-U-N-Q, was crunk the beaver. That's where your word beaver comes from. The female was a crunk beaver. Was a crunk beaver ate. And everything you brates was a crunk beaver ate. That's ever, crunk in ever, ever. And A-I-T has many meanings, eights. But, the crunk in ever eights. Eights is infinity, turns forever. Everything you crates in crunk in ever eights. And everything you brate in crunk in ever eights. But eights is also, the star of Melchizedek, the teacher of magic, was crunk in ever eights. Who break at sails and yammerless? Who break at sails and wordless? All is prove where viewum law it hears, where it attaches, it hears. And Seves the word of digit his, of hope. The same is of Clichy, her mast alerts. So this Hermes come up at the beginning of this paragraph. Up here where it's talking about the fish and birds. And so the word for the fish is here. And it's the Adam word, the sort swim, the swimmies, the sort swimmies. Who am roll, this is its swimmies, sorts, in fish eye, and hope you people hears, and hope you people, and hope you people, and hope you people, and birds that fly above the earth, and hope you people hears, all upon our our loyal of, the same is. Who in rails is at attendum, to attend to, attendum. The guide all is what call in facetici. And that looks like ceviche, ceviche, every living thing in the fishici. The ceviche, it's got it all in there. It's got your garden and your fish. Who in rail is at attendum, the guide all is what call in facetici. Her mast assure sort the swimmies, the sort of the fish, the sort the swimmies of mine is what call hope. Can pull menu who rail is seat of. So the rulers like fish. Who break at sail is lammer prove. Lammer, all that extra talking. The lammer prove. Who break? Who's good at the sail? His lammer prove. His words prove. Where viewum law at Hemis, at the halves, in Jimmies, in the days we hope, or in Barrett's, who they are in, who they inforge 'em chemacy, the harmist. So Horace is a sailor, and somebody damn sure didn't want you to know it. They tried like hell to chip his face off, but it's pretty easy to tell that that's Horace. And he's gigging a cat that lives under his boat. And these two, they're toting their rail too. And they didn't want us to see nothing about them or what they had in the other hand. But I'm sure this is Ness and Matt and Comet and Ness and Matt here, and what here. The same as here, Matt and what Horace and Comet and Ness. Yeah, it looks like what. He's got a rabbit on a leash. Matt and Horace are gigging it, and committing is, the two of them are waiting their turn. But I'm going to cut this off here and watch it again and see what else I catch. A good day.